Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Get the Shot, brought to you by Tamron Australia. My name is Joe Orchard and I'm your host. Today I'm with the very talented, very popular Lucinda Goodwin. Lucinda, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start the podcast by saying the worst possible thing, which is we were talking before we recorded. A little bit about
previous conversation.
I know that you guys aren't hearing, but we are now talking about again.
Yeah.
You've taken an interesting career path
Yeah.
living up to what you do now. Do you want to walk through it a bit?
Yeah. So I studied straight out of high school. I studied photography for 2 years in Melbourne, and then I went and did school photos for 6 years. So I would take headshots and group photos and stuff. From there, I then went to teaching. So I did some teaching in a college in Geelong and taught photography and content creation. And then now I'm doing some freelance work and have been doing freelance work sort of that whole entire way through. So yeah, lots of interesting twists and turns.
Yeah. I don't think we've had anyone on that's taught in sort of your setting. There's been a few people that have done workshops. So what was it like teaching in like VCE and Cert 34 and all that?
It was definitely very interesting, and I think really rewarding too. Once you sort of saw, we would teach like anything from like starting day one, like camera out of the cardboard box, where does the SD card go, where does the battery go, where's the on button, all of those sorts of things. So it was really rewarding to sort of see these people go from, I don't know how to put the lens on my camera, to producing like a body of work at the end of like a whole year. So yeah, it was really rewarding in that sense, but very challenging in some ways too, because you had to learn like every single camera system, and like it would really sort of trip you up. Sometimes you're like, how does this not work the same on my camera as it does to the students? So yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience, that's for sure.
And you've been freelance for not too long, if I'm correct?
Yeah, so I was definitely freelancing sort of the whole way through. So I finished study 2012 and had been sort of shooting like from 2010. But yeah, full-time freelance the last sort of 2 years, which has been really fun and exciting and a very big change for me. Because yeah, I was very much like, I need a stable income and like do the adult thing. But yeah, I just kind of jumped and did the freelance thing, and it's paid off at the moment. So yeah. It's
interesting that you've almost done it backwards. A lot of people start off freelancing and then find a job.
Yeah.
You've done it backwards.
Yeah.
What was challenging about going into freelance?
I think the circumstances were like different for me. Like I had been made redundant from my teaching role, and I think at that point I was sort of like ready to sort of go full-time freelance. I was just a bit too scared to. Like I was always like, it's just nice to have that stable income that you just knew was coming in every week. But yeah, so as soon as I sort of took that jump, I just started getting more and more bookings. Like the month that I had after I'd been made redundant, I had booked out practically every single week anyway. Before I had been made redundant, I was like, how did I think I was going to do this and work 4 days a week? Like it's just not possible. So yeah, and then I was like, oh well, it might not always be like that, but it just has been since then. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge being a freelancer, and like everything is on you and everything is your responsibility, from the marketing to the
paying
invoicing.
Yourself super, how terrible.
Oh my God, paying yourself super. I'm like doing that now. So that's a whole big adult thing. But yeah, just it's a different way of life, and I kind of love that at the moment too.
How did you get so many bookings so quickly? Because that was always the thing I struggled with the most.
Yeah. I have a lot of existing clients, and I guess that being in the industry for about 16 years, I had always kind of had these ongoing relationships, and I was outside of teaching, I was just freelancing as well. So I would teach like 8:30 till 5, and then I would dash down the highway and I'd be shooting a gig till midnight, and I'd get home and I'd edit, and then I'd front up to teach again at 8:30 in the morning the next day. So it wasn't like it was new. It was just I could focus more on doing more freelance work than what I was already. And that gave me good freedom to be able to say yes to more opportunities, because I did have to turn down some jobs because I was working and I had to teach and no one could cover my class. So yeah, I think it was just like this natural progression of like, I was kind of due to do that, and probably I was due to do that maybe 6 months beforehand. I just didn't maybe have the self-belief to be able to be like, yep, cool, I'm just going to step into that and just do that fully.
What sort of made you more confident and gave you the self-belief to take that step?
I think that when this was all going on, I also won the Australian Women in Music Awards, which was in Brisbane. So that was like a big like sort of stepping stone on like, oh, okay, I'm like nationally recognised for this work that I'm doing. So I think that was a very big like confidence boost for me to be able to like step into that.
Your niche is music
Yeah.
and live gigs. You've also shot with artists in like a studio setting.
Yeah.
How did this become your niche, especially because you've taught everything and everyone?
Yeah.
Why music?
Music was always sort of the catalyst. I was always interested in photography, but I went to Falls Festival as part of like for my schoolies. So instead of going to schoolies, I decided to go to Falls.
Nice.
So yeah, Lawn Falls was like very close to me. So at the time you could take your own camera, like as a punter, you could just like drag it in. So I dragged my dad's old camera in and just shot as a punter, and I was already accepted into photography course for that following year, and then just tried to cram music into every project and everything that I could possibly do. And whilst studying, I was also like shooting gigs and stuff. Had a lot of friends in the music industry as well who I was like just going to their shows and hanging out and shooting their shows. And then that progressed into like being a contributor for magazines and then working with artists directly and those sorts of things.
What was it like working for magazines?
It was tough. You don't get paid for a lot of those publications.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of the time you're donating your time and your work essentially to these publications in order to get access. So my portfolio for like maybe 8 or 9 years was like pretty much music like publication work, and I hadn't been paid for most of it. So it was pretty like confronting when I was working with like local artists and they were like, oh, well, you're working with this person and that person. I was like, yeah, but I only have 3 songs in the photo pit, sometimes less, and I'm not getting paid for it. And then I have to also drive to Melbourne and shoot the show. And then you might not even get to stay to watch the show either. You get kicked out after 3 songs. So yeah, it was definitely like a tough slog, but like, again, really good foundation and really like a great place to sort of start learning and getting access to bigger shows to be able to have better lighting and then progressing and sort of like taking those next steps into working with artists directly.
Yeah, right. Just so our audience is a little bit more caught up, and in case I don't know this,
Yeah.
when shooting live music, what do you mean by 3 songs?
Yeah, so there is this like universal rule. I think it was a Bruce Springsteen coined like term that because back then everyone was using really high powered flashes and those sorts of things, it become very distracting. So you only get to photograph the first 15 minutes, which then sort of turned into the first 3 songs. Because like on average, if it's say like a 5-minute, 4-minute song, plus I'm talking in between, that's about 15 minutes. So that's sort of the ruling that is pretty standard across the music industry. There is like exceptions to those rules too, like DJ sets, sometimes I'll just time you. So the PR person will come and tap you on the shoulder when it's like time to leave. Because it's very hard to sort of predict 15 minutes in your head. Like 3 songs you can count in your head.
Yep.
But yeah, 15 minutes, I'm not like constantly checking my watch. But yeah, and then so most of the time it's from the photo pit, which is the part between the stage and the crowd, that little part where the security normally is. Sometimes it's a sound desk shoot. So normally the sound desk is either at the back of the venue or in the middle of the venue. And normally like, yeah, you can stand up on the barrier and shoot from there. I've had a few of those. And then sometimes artists have like their own rules too, where you like have to photograph from like a 1 by 1 meter box either side of the photo pit. You have to choose a side and then not swap. So you can't move from where you've like chosen. You're just 3 songs from the one exact spot. So yeah, there's also different rules I've come across in the last sort of 16 years of shooting, which has kept it interesting.
That keeps the stakes very high, right?
Yeah.
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 You don't get much opportunity to get the shot.
No. Yeah, sometimes you get like a Blues Fest, for instance, in Byron. the first couple of years that I was going to that, there was like 300 photographers on site. And so, yeah, so if there was like, I vividly remember like Iggy Pop was playing one year, and we all had to break into groups, and it was one song each. And that was also a rule where you had to be on one side or the other, and you weren't allowed to move, because he had a staircase in the middle of the photo pit, and he was going to come off stage into the photo pit, into the crowd. So I just chose very quickly. I went the first song because I just was at the start of the line, and ended up on the left-hand side of the photo pit, and he walked out that side, and there's this photo that I shot that he's got his arms up like this, and then I've got like one frame of it, and then his arms are down and he's walked out of the frame, and that's it. It was like pure luck that I just chose that side that night. I had no idea which side he was going to walk out from. It was like a 50-50 chance. So yeah, sometimes you just get really lucky.
We had a guy named Rick Clifford on our show. Do you know him?
Yeah, we've worked together before, yeah.
Oh, I think he was at that Iggy Pop thing and he's complained about there only being 1 minute.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, and that song, like he walked out, he like sung like maybe the first verse, and then he came into the photo pit and was just like pacing back and forward. And
was
like,
there room? Yeah.
Not really, because there was also security guards sort of like top and tail of the photo pit, so we couldn't really shoot over the top of them. So yeah, sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you're just like, okay, cool, I only got one shot out of all of that. Iggy Pop shared my shot, so I was excited about it.
Hell
so.
yes. So shout out Iggy Pop. Yeah. Do you prefer shooting at gigs or shooting artists in a studio environment?
I think I like the unpredictability of live. I love documenting. That's kind of where my love for music came into play. The portraiture stuff and in studio is great, and that's normally where bills are going to get paid, is to do those sort of press shoots and those sorts of things. But the live stuff is so exciting. And even when there is sort of like 20 to 30 photographers in a photo pit, we're all got a slightly different perspective on how we see a show as well. We all shoot slightly differently as well. So it's really interesting to see when you've shot a show with a bunch of friends that like how they perceive the show versus how you perceive the show.
Apart from that instance with Iggy Pop, is there a show that comes to mind that's memorable for good or bad reasons?
Yeah, lots of them come to mind actually, but like one that I loved was North Lane. They're a little bit heavier than what I listen to or am into, but I did that show with a brand called Moshcam, and they did like a multicam setup. So there was like 5 or 6 like guys on video. We were filming the whole set, and then I was designated on the photos. And they have, if you haven't seen them before, a lot of pyro and a lot of like cold sparklers and lots of pyrotechnics and CO2 cannons and all of that sort of stuff. And so they were playing at the Forum in Melbourne. And normally when there's pyro or anything like that, you can't be in the photo pit. But because I was shooting the whole show, they gave me access. So the media photographers were only allowed in for song 4, 5 and 6. And then I was allowed the whole set, which meant that I actually had the set list with all the pyro cues on it, so that I knew not to be, you just naturally are not too close when you know there's pyro. The stage is actually...
because otherwise, like,
well, that's the thing. I came home and I was just like covered in like shrapnel from the show, because it was just like, it was like soot and like, it just kind of felt like grit. Oh. So yeah, that whole show I sort of shot from the pit, shot from like the sound desk. I had a remote camera set up on a balcony. It was a very cool shoot, and I was practically the only photographer in the pit for most of the time, and then the 2 video guys either side of me. But yeah, there's this like shot, this wide shot that I got, and I'd run up to the sound desk, and just all of a sudden the pyro went off, and it's just like perfectly framed with the arch of the Forum and all the pyro going off. Nice. And yeah, just like a really cool crowd shot that I'm like, I have it framed in my studio space and love it so much. So yeah, it was a fun shoot.
Wow, okay. That's quite remarkable.
Yeah.
You've developed quite a bit of a social media presence. Congratulations
so
far on doing that. How did you get started in your social media side of what you do?
Yeah, I think it's really important for like photographers to be involved in that. And I used to teach it as well. So it was also like, you have to present that way. Like if you're going to teach the students that they have to be on social media, then you also need to be on social media. But a lot of my work comes from social media. I get a lot of email inquiries that open with, hey, we found you on Instagram, which
Cool.
is a great indication that I'm doing something right. But yeah, it was just like a natural progression, I think, of trying to market myself and showing my work and showcasing what I could do. A lot of my folio now lives on Instagram. I very rarely update my website, unfortunately. But yeah, a lot of work comes through Instagram, so I kind of prioritize updating the socials and stuff pretty often.
What's your balance of shooting, editing, and then time for your brand and your social media?
I'm trying to get better at it. I have found this like concept called a CEO day. Have you heard of this?
No, tell me.
No. So it's essentially like trying to carve out time in your week, whether it's like a day or whether it's like a couple of hours, where you just work solely on your business rather than like in the business. So yeah, I'm trying to like implement that a little bit more, where I am sort of like working out my next steps and my goals and how to achieve those goals, and just sort of planning and mapping out things. It's sometimes really hard to like look at it from an outside perspective. So like trying to carve out that time for me is like important, because I'm trying to just like shape how the year goes for me and doing more work.
Girl boss day.
Girl boss day. That's essentially what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Do you burn out doing your own social media stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I burnt out so quickly doing it.
Yeah, I do some social media marketing stuff as well, freelance. And so I do that sort of like 3 or 4 days a week. And then I also mentor musicians and other photographers as well in that space. So yeah, then when it gets to like my turn to doing stuff, I'm like, oh gosh. I also struggle too, because like most of the time when I'm working with an artist directly. So they kind of get like top priority on like sharing that work. So I normally have to wait for them to sort of post anything before I then will go and post it. And then when they've posted it, it might be like 2 weeks later and I've kind of moved on to like 6 other shows. So it's sometimes like this game of catch up of like, or like the fact that like I've shot press work there's press shots that I've shot maybe 12 months ago that still aren't out in the wild yet, because they're for releases that are upcoming for artists. So
wow.
I'm just sitting on like some of my favorite work that I just can't share because it's not out in the world yet.
We normally have B-roll over the top, so like when you talk about your photos, we'll have them over the top. We'll just have redacted.
Yeah,
over
it's a big black box.
Yeah. You mentioned that you're still mentoring and working with people on their social media page.
Yeah.
So you haven't really stopped teaching in some
No.
ways.
No, I'm kind of hooked.
Do you think you're a teacher that likes photography or a photographer that likes teaching?
I think I'm a photographer that likes teaching. I didn't have any mentors like when I was going through sort of the schooling system in terms of like my photography work. I just kind of like tried to work it out myself. And music was such a like, it was very like behind closed doors. Like I feel like a lot of other niches in photography, it's a little bit more open. You kind of get to chat with other people, but it's very competitive in music where you're literally next to the person that's trying to like get your job. So sometimes it's just like no one wants to tell each other like how much they're charging or how did you get here or that sort of thing. So I find it really helpful, and like when I do mentoring, I'm very open book. Like if someone asks me how much I'm charging, I'm just blatantly telling them. Like, so I think it's important because I didn't have that I want to be that for somebody else. Because yeah, it is important to be able to like give back to the industry and help other people.
What's the value in having a big concept that I think about a lot is YouTube University.
Yeah.
I learned how to do a lot of editing on DaVinci through YouTube University.
Yeah.
What is the value in having a mentor like yourself when in theory I could just YouTube University my way to learn a few of this stuff?
Yeah, I think it's like similar with the like, why would I go and study versus learn it on YouTube? Like you can do that, but it might take you like 4 years to do it rather than 1. You also have to be dedicated enough to sit there and actually learn all the things all at once. Whereas if there's someone sitting there telling you like, this is how to do it, this is what you should do, it's probably for someone that's maybe not as motivated is helpful. But yeah, I think like having someone to just bounce ideas off, and like you can Google so much, you can like chat GPT so much, but that's, you're just pulling information off the internet at this point. Like, to be able to actually speak to someone who has had that lived experience and like how did you get from here to here? Like, what were the steps in a roundabout way did you take in order to get to where you are now? And I think that's what I was looking for when I first started, was like, how do I get to the next step? Because I spent so long in the publication and shooting for publication world, and I didn't know how to sort of go to that next little hurdle. And if someone was there to be able to just be like, cool, do this, it would have probably saved me a lot of time, but we worked it out. But yeah, I think having that direct line of contact to be just bounce ideas, bounce questions, like ask the really pointed question of like, this is exactly what I want to know.
I guess I was trying to figure out this green screen thing, and I was getting all these artifacts on the shoulder and just flickering and really annoying. I could not find anywhere how to solve this issue.
But if you had a mentor that knew how to do it.
Yeah. I find it interesting, photographers and videographers having their personal brand online. A lot of them start off shooting and they like that. Then they get really into their personal brand, that does well. And then they start selling online courses and stuff like that, which is very sort of transactional, and their business goes from being the freelancer to selling stuff
The
online.
course, yeah.
And you actually don't know whether it's legit or not.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any feelings or opinions on these types of freelancers?
Yeah, I always like go back to Gary V. I always go back to like that jab, jab, right hook kind of like mentality of like, you need to be providing like value before you start the ask. Like, and I think that's sort of how I approach my social media. There is a lot of sort of educational content on there that like sometimes leans into humor, or like I posted one recently that was about like doing free work and how it's not helping the industry, and it kind of went slightly viral and started a bit of a like war with photographers online.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which was fun. It was fun. It was a good conversation. But yeah, I think you have to provide value always.
Yeah.
And then offer up the ask. You know what I mean? Like But like if you're buying a course, like if I'm buying a course off someone, I want to see that they're like doing the thing that I'm buying off them like consistently. I don't want to like go and buy off someone that's like, oh, I was doing that, but now I'm not in it anymore. Like I think from like my teaching, we had to be relevant in industry in order to teach. That was part of like the requirements to teach in a TAFE sector. So I think that sort of like is in the back of my mind too.
The internet doesn't have those prerequisites and requirements.
Yeah. But I think like it's super important to be like, okay, well, like where are they relevant? Like how are they doing these things in practice? And I think I buy that way as well. Like,
what was it like going viral?
That's not actually the first time I went viral, honestly. There was one.
So you've done it a few times.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times. There was an audio, a Sabrina Carpenter, Please, Please, Please. And I literally like heard that song and I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And it was about not shaking your Polaroids. You spotted before, I have a Polaroid tattoo on the back of my arm. I'm very passionate about Polaroid. And I'm like, please, for the love of God, don't shake it.
But Outcast told me, shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Don't shake it. Outcast lied to you. And that is literally the premise of this song. And like the whole like concept. And everyone was just like laughing. They're like, Outcast, Outcast, Outcast. I was like, stop listening to them. Like, listen to their music. Don't listen to the
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Look, love them, but just like miscommunication here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, I think like my brain just like thinks that way. It's really, when people like ask me about social media, they're like, how do you come up with some of these concepts? I was like, I don't know. It's just like lightning in a bottle. Like I'm just like, I see a trend or I see an audio and I'm like, oh, I know exactly how to pivot this into like photography or what I do.
Did you think when you were teaching in TAFE and courses like that, you'd be doing TikTok videos like please, please, please? Yeah. I
was teaching them how to make TikToks.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so I was teaching social media and marketing to the students. and was like so onto them about like, you need to be posting on social media, you need to like have SEO on your website, like just all of those things. And like, yeah, like we don't need, I was like, I will show you the 15 emails that I've got this week that literally all open with, I found you on Instagram, I found you on TikTok. Like, yeah, it was very interesting to like see. And some of them were like an older demographic as well, so they hadn't grown up with it. Like I was in this like cusp of like, I remember learning iPhone photography at TAFE when Instagram had just come out, because you only were able to post photos that you had taken natively on your iPhone. So like I remember doing this whole like workshop one night of like all the iPhone photography trends and stuff. And so like I've been lucky in the era that I've grown up in, that like I was sort of involved in that Instagram sort of rollout and have had it since I like first started. But I can see where photographers who have been shooting for longer than me may struggle with some of that technology and how to implement that into their branding.
I'm sort of indifferent on Instagram now because kind of like with you in your career, it was a big part of getting myself out there, and I didn't get 15 emails a week. I maybe got 15 emails a year of people being like, you know, I found you on, you know, Instagram doing this, this and that.
Yeah.
But there is something tactile and like physical about seeing a printed photo on a wall.
Yeah.
Or I'm a videographer, and so going to the movies and seeing a movie there, or going to an exhibition and seeing something projected.
Yeah.
There is something there. And so it's a constant struggle to find balance of like engage in those sorts of things, but actually engage in the realms that potentially earn me jobs and income. So it's tough.
I love exhibiting. Like that's been one of the things that I've like constantly done.
Have you done much exhibiting yourself?
Yeah, I've had a solo show almost every second year.
Awesome.
My largest one was maybe 3 years ago. 3 years ago, it was called Retrospect 001, with the hope that there will be sort of few iterations of it. It was like the 10-year mark of my career. And it was in this beautiful gallery space in Geelong, and I had free reign to do so many crazy things. Nice. I brought in like temporary fencing and hung artwork on the temporary fencing like you'd see at like a festival.
Yeah, right.
I hung like I just like gallery hung it like saloon style, so like just mismatched all over the wall.
Did you say Polaroids?
There was Polaroids, there was cyanotypes.
You didn't shake them, right?
No, I didn't shake them. There was Polaroids, there was cyanotypes, which are like blue prints. There was prints just stuck to the wall. There was frame prints. There was contact sheets of film, like rolls that I had shot. There was so much going on. And then we wheeled a piano in the actual exhibition space, and I had a couple of friends play opening night, and I just like fully did the immersive thing. But like I think printing your work is so important as well. Like I did another show for the Ballarat Photo Biennale last year, and I scoped out a record store that was super down for me to hang work, and we ended up deciding on printing everything as a vinyl cover, putting it in a sleeve and sitting it with all the vinyl that was in the store, and that was the exhibition.
Do ideas just pour out of you like lava in a volcano? Just erupts massively and...
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. But I also I've just always loved being creative. So I think, like the social media things and the exhibitions and all of those sorts of things, like I always have to have a little project going on and something to kind of sink my teeth into. So awesome. The exhibitions are always like something that I prioritize to sort of do every couple of years. I do a lot of group shows as well, but the solo shows I try and do like every couple of years.
What advice, like quick Lucinda tips, would you have for getting yourself out there on social media?
I think it's just starting. Just starting is the hardest part, and that was the thing that I always used to have to tell the students. I was like, do not procrastinate on the fact that it's not completely perfect, or you're like, but I don't think I'm ready yet, or it's just starting that momentum and starting posting. Like if you have an empty social media account, no one's going to be looking at your profile. Like you need to just start. How
do you get over the hurdle that comes at like week 2, 3, 4, where it's like, I'm not seeing much change?
I think we're like, as a society, we're so like programmed to be like instant gratification now. Like our attention spans have kind of gone completely out the window. So I think it's just like that being persistent thing and just being like, cool, this is going to be a slow burn, and I need to just keep working on it. Like I just need to keep posting and to keep doing the thing, like, and setting realistic expectations on yourself as well. Like if you can't post every day because you work a 9 to 5 and you go to the gym every night, like don't put the expectation on yourself to post every day if you don't have time to do it. Like let's set like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or, just moving those goalposts so that you can actually like achieve it.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
We like to wrap up the podcast by the previous guest leaving a question for you,
Okay.
not really knowing who you are.
Yeah, right.
or you don't really know who they are either.
Okay.
And the question for you is, what is something you're bad at, but you love doing?
Oh, something I'm bad at. So this is like an interview question, when you go for a job interview and you're like, you got to spin it into the positive.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that the worst question? Like,
it's kind of so bad. Maybe it's like answering this question is what I'm bad at. I'm bad at saying no. That is one thing I'm bad at.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I think like
saying no to other people, to yourself, or
to like everything. Like I'm trying to be better at it, but like I've done days where I've done like 3 shows or like 2 portrait sessions and gone to a gig and then like come home and done 3 more shoots. Like I'm bad at saying no, but I also kind of love that because like it means that I'm out there doing the thing that I love.
You just love the hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until I'm exhausted and I need sleep for a week.
That's all right, but that's the most well-deserved rest.
Yeah.
Lucinda, it's been awesome having you on the podcast. Tell the people where they can find you.
Well, social media, obviously. So yeah, Lucinda Goodwin Photography, and website as well. So yeah. Fantastic.
If you want to know what Lucinda asks our next guest, tune in next week to find out. But thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. See you next week, guys.